the end of too difficult to use. So the way governments, companies, just in general, have kind of restricted use of things is by making them difficult to use. For example, like, when anything that you put more pain into, or what they call friction, more pain points, you decrease the use. So, a company that, like, for example, I'm thinking of like the crypto exchanges, that you have to do two-factor authentication, you have to verify your identity, you have to give a copy of your license, front and back. Then they come back and they say that it's not the right amount of pixels, and then you have to give the verification code within 60 seconds, otherwise you get locked out of your account. And also sometimes you have to hold up a sign that says, I'm not kidding, because I have different crypto accounts, small balances, and I had to send like 100 emails to even get into my account. I had to hold up a sign that said, who I am, and I had to include my face, and they said the sign wasn't at the right angle. And I think that, some companies just play games. So, for example, if you can't get into your account and you have money, you might just never come back. And I don't know if the company can keep your money after a while or what happens. But, exchanges also, delist coins. I don't know what happens to all that money. They say that 20% of all Bitcoin has been lost. I mean, obviously a lot has been stolen also by hacks. They said that people were discouraged from voting for years by having to do so much proof that it made voting inconvenient. When you go for public services, I believe, some people say that the reporting and the requirement guidelines, requirements, can be onerous and difficult and discourage people. Some might argue that, do we want things to be onerous or difficult to a certain extent to, make sure that people are highly motivated? I mean, that's a political question, not something I can answer. I believe in general that it's a lot of time and waste of resources to have, all this perhaps excessive verification. I do think that, verification is important to eliminate fraud. I mean, PayPal, the founder Max Peter Thiel said that they were losing a huge amount of money because of fraud, and hackers obviously try to penetrate any weak system. But it's kind of a trade-off, because user interfaces that are hard to navigate, people just won't use them. I mean, Google is always working on speed, because if a page takes more than a certain amount of microseconds to load, people will go someplace else. Now, kind of an interesting aspect of this is that, for example, Andrew Yang in Universal Basic Income, he argues that people just know better how to spend their own money, and that it's much more cost efficient just to give people money that's going to empower them, rather than give them social services where they always have to go through all the requirements. And he also says it's better than just doing a jobs program that people, may not, like their job. I mean, there is an empowerment to work, but he believes, and some other people believe, that people know best how to use their time and resources. Now, this is an interesting thing, because it gets into the idea of also working from home versus, there's different studies. Some people say people are more productive working from home, actually, because they have more control over their environment, whereas other people say that a lot is lost when you're not actually in the office. So there's arguments that can be made both sides, but increasingly in the future, where attention is the scarcest resource, you want to have some safeguards, but if you can invent systems that make it easier of use, you're going to be much, much more successful. So, for example, Bitcoin and blockchain has not been widely used because it's too confusing. People don't know how to, buy it. They don't know how to spend it. dApps, for example, on the blockchain are also not popular for the same reason. You have these long, internet addresses. You have these long wallet addresses. So the internet didn't become popular until we had browsers. The smartphone didn't become, and the browsers make it easy to use. The smartphones didn't become popular until, the iPhone came along, and the MP3s didn't become popular until the iPod came along, and Apple was famous for like cutting things out and just making it simple. So increasingly in the world of information overload, a user experience that is simple, that's why I have a podcast that says designers are the new black. If you can navigate a system and make the user interface easy at the same time as eliminating fraud, then you have to navigate both aspects of that if you want to be successful in the future.